because like this fight is about the fairness of the entire country in the future. And it's not just about me. So when you see them running around and I'm no longer here, give them the love that you gave me. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
LSPC in the house. Yeah. And we got our wonderful authors in the house. I know that Assemblymember Joyce could not make it tonight because she's in Germany, but she was also one of the authors on this bill. But we also got McCarty in the house. Yeah. And you guys will be hearing from him very soon. But for right now, let's give it up for DORSEY NUNN. And now we're going to have INDIGO come up and do her music selection. INDIGO! Give it up for INDIGO.
Come on, INDIGO! This is going to be a real treat for y'all, so you all get ready for this. This is going to be a treat for y'all.
Thank you. I do. Not yet, though. Okay. How y'all doing tonight? It's an honor and a pleasure to be here to share my song with y'all. I just really want to thank all of us for NUNN and everyone who's a part of the Revive Oakland coalition for doing all. And as we know, women are the water of the revolution, am I right? So when our sisterhoods are healthy, our families are healthy, and our brotherhoods are healthy, and our relationships are healthy. So I wanted to give this all to you because this is a song that is a humanizing song. And I'm sure a lot of you will remember what it is. Go ahead. I wanted to leave y'all with another song. It's a little less, it's a little more real, you know? It's a little more real to some of the times. I know this is a victorious celebration. Oh, I wanted to do this though too. When I say victorious, you gotta say victorious, okay? So, victorious! Hey, victorious! Okay, yeah, so in that spirit, I wanna, thank you for that. Y'all caught right on. So in that spirit too, I want to also do a little bit of truth telling of what I witnessed and what I've seen happen in Oakland and happen in Oakland. And it's a far less than what a lot of you all have seen. But this is kind of my take on it from the storyteller's point of view, from a singer's point of view. And I do want to offer this song to the people who've seen Oakland change and the people who have really been just dogged by gentrification. And gentrification is dehumanizing. And like my comrade John Jones says, these are not siloed issues. Mass incarceration, gentrification, displacement, these all pour into each other as the system grows stronger. So that's why we're breaking down the system brick by brick. So this song is called Floating.
Everything is looking different in the city. Steady noticing the changes, new faces. Is it the end of an era? Just a change of the season. Mama's moving out the old house, talking about she don't feel comfortable no more. Everything don't look so broke down, except the people on the corner floating, ghost in a town I used to know, coasting to a new time unfamiliar. Where did you expect me to go? Where did you expect me to move to? I'm still floating, floating, floating. Everyone is either bitter or just leaving. What a change of the season. Such a brisk and windy evening, especially with no place. I'm alone in the alleyway, got no say, no vote. In the quiet of the moonlight is where I find my justice. Bulldozed away by longings, a saturating lust. A new day is not dawning, 'cause my time is winding up. Bulldozed away by longings, but what about us? What about us? What about us floating?
somebody's mother still trapped by mass incarceration. There is still another family that's being impacted by mass incarceration. There's still another community that's missing some people who have been basically enslaved by mass incarceration. So we stand here today on their behalf. We stand in the gap for those women and for those men who can't be here for themselves. We stand for ourselves, that we will no longer be relegated to a second-class citizenship, that we will stand and we will fight and we will have our fists up in the air and we will say, it's all of us. Or none. All of us. Or none. We will not go back into those cages. So on that note right there, feeling that. I want to call up, and I do believe I'm going to call up Mr. Dorsey now. And you can bring up Brittany when you get him on.
God, I thought I was further down the line. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody who attended. And I'm really honored and I'm really grateful. And if I should start crying, we're gonna give you a hug. It's all right. For some of us, it wasn't a one-day journey. For some of us who left for prison and made a promise, and I can remember somebody asking me, what was I going to do with my newfound freedom? And I didn't understand the question. You know, I thought I was going to get me some Winchell donuts. Come on, tell it. I thought I was going to smoke me some good weed. And I thought I was going to have some sex with my shoes off. But it didn't take me long to recognize the question. The question wasn't what I was going to do with my newfound freedom. The question was, what was I going to do with my privilege? Because a lot of my homies are still there. Some of them will die there. So this Ban the Box campaign wasn't just initiated by one person. It comes out the belly of a whole class of people. It really does. You know, I would be absolutely remiss. When nobody else believed, I knew a couple of people did. I knew that Linda believed. I knew that my dear believed. When we started this campaign, we was going state to state and city to city, and some of those people were still on parole, not asking for permission. So when you talk about the Underground Railroad, some of us lived that. That 14 years this march has been going on. It's not just a minor march. Somebody said we will one day have our freedom. How about this? We'd have flipped Ban the Box in 26 states. It only takes probably 32 states to change the 13th Amendment. That's probably honeycomb, but I'm not going to answer that. But it only takes a few people to actually start something. And I think that what we started was great. You know, some people I reached back and I invited deliberate, and it was a deliberate invitation. You know, I can remember talking to a human resource person, at least 2 of them that showed up here tonight. And I can remember having that conversation. And I can remember when I knew that they got it. Do you remember when they said, list your criminal conviction history? Right? You remember when they used to ask us that question? Yes, sir. There was a person that looked up and said, how about if we just call it a conviction history? That person got it. There was another person, and probably a proximity of being a black woman, the head of human resources. At a certain point, we didn't have to keep explaining what it was to run into structural discrimination. She knew. So, Alameda County gave us something, and that came through Denise. Ted gave us something that came through the Human Resource Department in San Francisco. And the person that gave us something that ain't here tonight, that probably should have been here tonight, was Tom Amayano. He was the first person in the Bay Area that actually introduced and pushed out Ban the Box. And he told me and Linda that all we needed to go do was get the other, I think 5 or 6, 7 city council members, board of supervisors members. And we didn't even stop at the next office. We went out, we walked out and got our homies. You know, we went out and got the people because, like, you know, Ban the Box don't represent something that says, we don't want you to do this against us. Ban the Box was that initial step that says, this is what we want for ourselves. It was the first time that we were saying yes to life. It was the first time that we were saying yes to our civil rights. And it was the first time that we was deciding on that. This has been a 14-year journey. And this 14-year journey has so many people involved, I can't list and name them all. But I need to say thank you for the person who lasted one day. And I need to say thank you to the people who lasted the 14 years. Right? And at this particular point, and I very rarely do this, is that on December the 4th, I'll be 66 years old. Woo! When we started the campaign, my hair was black. It's no longer black. When we started the campaign, in the first video that we put out, Enough is Enough, and it was about housing discrimination, because we was fighting structural discrimination as a whole. It just happened to be Ban the Box and employment called on first. So when I look at the videos, I can see that Sylvester's not with us, which was the person who we interviewed on my couch in my living room. You know, I need to say I appreciate Cassandra, was a person that I interviewed on my couch that talked about her losing her job. It didn't mean because she didn't have a job. It didn't mean that. It meant that the community was unsafe. It meant that people weren't eating. And when they're able to discriminate, they take about the community something like $85 billion a year. It's not a question about me. And when I say that I'm gonna be 66, I'm a great grandfather. The fight ain't even about me no more.
Come on. That is true.
The fight is about my children, my grandchildren, and my great-granddaughter. The fight ain't about me anymore. You know, I already know I already know that I've touched so many people that probably in this lifetime or shortly thereafter, y'all ain't gonna have an exception to the 13th Amendment that says that slavery is possible. We will kill that shit off too. We will take it all. We will take it all. You know, I know that the next group of organizers that come behind me, they're stronger, they're faster, they're brighter. They will take more ground than I ever could gain. You know, I'd be remiss to say Daryl Atkinson didn't do something in North Carolina that was special. He banned the box in a southern state. Yeah. And what he made them do is keep track of what did it mean to ban the box. He was the next generation of organizers that captured the information and the empirical data that said that we could have a job. and he measured it. That was another generation of organizing. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention people like Eddie Ellis that changed the identity of who we all call ourselves. Right? He was the one that stepped out in the middle of the street and says, you can't continue to call me an ex-con. You can't continue to call me an inmate. He was the one that says, I demand that you call me a person. Right. That's right. And me and Eddie fought like dogs in New York City.
Call you back up. Call you back up.
It's all right. It's all right.
Marinate in that. We want to celebrate the victories of the laws that we have been able to pass. Folks just can't believe we went from breaking laws to making laws. So I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to call up Brittany so she can talk about the fines and fees. Brittany, are you in the house?
Welcome everybody. Thanks for being here tonight. So this year we've achieved a lot of big accomplishments in the area of fines and fees reform. In particular, we got the state to stop suspending people's licenses for failures to pay. And we got, which is a huge deal. When LSPC joined this movement a few years ago, it was just right after the Department of Justice, President Obama's Department of Justice, had issued a report about Ferguson, Missouri, saying that the surprising thing that they found was that they had been ticketing low-income people, and particularly people of color, which was leading to violent confrontations with police. It was incentivizing aggressive policing. And we came out with a report, we joined the movement saying this is not just a Ferguson problem, this is a California problem as well. And here we are today, a couple years later, and it's amazing to see how far that we've come. We got when we wrote that report, there were 17% of all California driver's licenses were suspended for failures to pay. Not for driving safety, but for failure to pay, for people who could not afford to pay. And this year we got that practice to end. Yes. Yep. And we also got a statewide rule passed saying that courts are required to let people know that if they cannot afford to pay for traffic court tickets, they have the right to request reductions, they have the right to request alternatives to payment. No longer should people continue to be punished just because they can't afford to pay. So this is an issue that affects many areas of our lives. It's not just a bill that you get at the end of a court date. It affects people's ability to get to work. People lose their jobs when they lose their licenses. It affects people's ability to take their kids to school or to take their family members to the doctor. This is about families. This is about people's ability to make a life for themselves. So it's really exciting that we've accomplished this, and thank you so much to all of our allies, to the community organizers, to the policy advocates, everybody who's helped achieve this. We've got a lot more to do. Lots more to do. We're going to tackle new areas of fines and fees. But thank you, and it's exciting to struggle with you guys.
Thank you. But see, it don't stop there. Sandra, can you come up? We're going to talk about the RISE Act. Don't get it twisted. We are changing laws. We're taking back that power that was already ours. While we organize and we unite, we can change this world, the world that we live in. We're not going to walk around here as victims. We're going to be making it happen around here. Give it up for Sandra.
Kim always pumps me up.
Yeah.
So I never held the mic and talked, but I'm going to try it. So my name is Sandra, and I am the first Elder Freeman Policy Fellow and a proud member of all of us. I just want to thank everybody for coming out to help celebrate these huge victory, these huge bills passing for the criminal justice reform. So I'm going to talk about SB 180. It's also called the RISE Act. Put the mic a little closer. Okay, it's on okay, Harriet. And the RISE Act will stop these extremely long sentences and the painful separations from our family that so many people are subjected to. For me, these enhancements felt like double jeopardy because I was punished again and again for prior drug convictions and that I had already served time for. Working on SB 180, I've been blessed to learn from such wonderful mentors and supporters like DORSEY, Emily Harris, Andrea Richardson, and Marcus McKinney. along with Senator Holly Mitchell and Senator Ricardo Laurel. And the many more that I haven't mentioned. It was many more people that worked with me and helped me with these testimonies. Here's an interesting fact. As of 2016, there were more than 1,500 people in the California jail sentenced for more than 5 years. And the leading cause was, of these sentencing was drug sales. This bill will make it possible for people with addiction to spend less time in jail and free up the resources to invest in treatment programs and therapy for them. This was a great year of fighting against mass incarceration and to begin to invest in our communities. And I am so motivated and looking forward to this hard work before us in this up and coming legislative year. I would like to thank a few more co-sponsors, Legal Services for Prisons with Children, ACLU, the Public Defenders Association, California Unite for Responsible Budget, Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights of LA, Drug Policy Alliance, Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, Friends Committee of Legislation in California, and I would like to thank Governor Jerry Brown for signing this bill into law.
All right, just take one moment and just look at this amazing space. We are in an art gallery, people. We are in an art gallery. Give it up for Joyce for allowing us to use this space. And she wants it to be known. Don't get it twisted. This is art on the wall, so you can't lean on it. You can't put your fingerprints on it. You can't, touch on it, because this is art, and there is some things for sale up in here. So if you feel a little artistic and all that, please, look at her booth back here and check out some of her stuff. But let's be mindful that we're in a gallery. So right now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go into talking about this amazing, amazing man who allowed us to come to him with this great idea and work this policy through the state capitol. He did it along with his colleagues, but it always takes a champion. Let me hear you say champion. Champion. Let me hear you say champion. Champion. So I'm going to call up this champion right here that took AB 1008 from just some words and turned it into a law. Mr. McCarty, come on up here.
Good evening. How are we doing tonight? Well, I'm certainly really honored to be here at the Victory celebration, celebrating the RISE Act and also celebrating 1008. But frankly, more importantly, I'm excited to be here with all of you, because it's not just about these two bills this year, it's about the work we've done in the past and the work we're going to do in the future on criminal justice issues, social justice, equity for everybody. So I'm all in on this for the long run, and you got me as your champion for next year and the years to come. But we can have a little fun with our victory tonight, right? Yes, okay. So this, of course, is the ban the box. We also call it the Fair Chance Act, because sometimes you need a little bit of nuancing of the words to get your people to vote for the bill. And it wasn't an easy one. So I want to thank all of you and your hard work for making it happen. I have a few little stories I'm about to tell you about the bill. But the big picture is we have 8 million Californians who have arrest or criminal record who now will have a fair chance at employment, thanks to you. So give that up a round of applause. And we had 5 great joint authors of the bill with me this year. We mentioned earlier Eloise Reyes, who couldn't make it here tonight. We had Dr. Shirley Weber, who I saw this morning. She sends her regrets and says, we need to make sure this law is implemented next. So she's all about that. We had Assemblymember Gibson, Assemblymember Holden, and Senator Steve Bradford, who started this issue 5 years ago, along with then Assemblymember Roger Dickinson. So, we need to thank them for helping start this issue years ago. But I want to thank the people on the front lines working. We already heard from Kim and Dorsey. Thank you. It was an honor to work with you this year. Thank you. Give them a round of applause. And also with LSPC, I see him over here, Marcus McKinney. Thanks for working the halls. We had Beth and Maurice from the National Employment Law Project. Thank you. Certainly Kim Carter with Time for Change. Thank you. And she's not here tonight, but we had Mariko Yoshihara with the California Employment Law Association. So thank her as well. We also had a young staffer work for me this year, Christina, who couldn't make it tonight, but she said she loved working on this bill and she was honored to work with all of you. So I want to thank her for her hard work as well. But you know, it wasn't always a smooth ride, this thing. So I want to tell you three little funny stories, and they're good ones. So first, when I decided to work on this bill last year, I'd heard about it. I heard they're about to do it in Los Angeles. I said, we need to do this in California. We need to step it up for the private sector and make the public piece stronger as well. So we started putting together this coalition, and I have family members who served time, and they got lucky. They got an employer who gave them a chance. And I realized it's not all about chance. Too many people never get that chance. So I knew this was going to be a hard fight, but we needed to go on and do it. So we decided we were going to do the bill. We introduced the bill, a strong version. We showed up at our first hearing. And literally, we had a line from here to there out the door of people opposed to the bill. And I said to myself, this is not going to end well. This great idea, I'm sorry, Ken, we're not going to do it this year. So, but we went forward and we had some good persuasive arguments. And we said, you know what, we're going to work with the opposition, try to make sure we keep our principles, keep it strong, and try to fine tune a little bit. And they said, I don't know about that. It's not going to work out. So let's give us a chance. So we went forward. We got out of that committee. We got out of the assembly with 41 votes. Not one vote to spare. Not one vote to spare. We got over to the Senate. We got to a hearing. This is the good story. Where's Sandra? Where is she?
Sandra?
Where is she? Right over here. Don't go too far. Come over here, Sandra. So we got over to the Senate. We got to the Senate committee. And how the committees are, sometimes you can have a vote to spare because there's more Democrats than Republicans. Republicans don't vote for this usually. I'm sorry, that's the truth. And so on this committee, we had Holly Mitchell, who's just an absolute warrior for these issues. But she was in D.C. fighting for more funding for Medi-Cal. So I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure about this. And so we had a committee member who told us that she wasn't going to vote for the bill. She was a senator from Santa Barbara. She was an absolute no on the bill. We thought, we're going to lose. This is our last hearing. Then we thought, no, we got our star witness. And we talked about her story. And she said, what am I going to say? I just tell them your story. And she got up there and she gave her testimony. And Senator Jackson looked at her and had some give and back and forth. And she won her vote. You got her to go from a no to a yes. And we got out of there by the skin of our teeth. So if there's an MVP, hi Senator Skinner, if there's an MVP of this bill, it's you. You saved us that day. Thank you. And then we knew we would probably have a good chance if we got to the governor's desk, because the governor's been such a champ on criminal justice reform, and he knows that if you want to make sure you focus on this issue, make sure people are employed is so important. So I knew we had a good chance of getting the governor to sign the bill. And lastly, this Halloween, I took my kids trick-or-treating. And if ever you want to meet the governor in Sacramento, go to his house on Halloween. Because him and his wife and his staff, they're out there decorating. There's like no kids around there because they're in downtown, not many kids around. So I walked up to him and my kids. We did a little trick-or-treat, and he said hello to me. And I said, Governor, I hadn't seen him for a while. I said, thank you for signing all of my bills this year. I had 8 bills that went to his desk, and he signed all 8 of them. I had a couple other bills. I worked jointly on free community college and all these. I loved all my bills. And so he looked at me and he said, "But which was the one you liked the best?" And I said, "I got 2 kids. How am I going to choose which one's best? I got it." And I said, "Fair Chance Act, ban the box." And the governor, a very smart man, said, "Why?" I said, "I believe it'll change people's lives." And he looked at me and said, yes, it will. So thank you for working with me, and I really hope that this will change lives throughout California, and we did it. So thank you. Congratulations to all of you.
Yeah, for one more time. Okay, I noticed Miss Skinner done crept up in here. Now, she's not short of making some real change up in Sacramento. So, you know, I just want to make sure we give her a round of applause for showing up tonight. She's carrying more bills than I can do. So, I want to acknowledge her. So, right now, we're going to keep on with the agenda and we can call her up. What you want to do?
Hold it. She's up. Give her the mic. Anytime she walks in the room.
Come on up in there. Come on up there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. And listen, I think that Kevin would agree, Assemblymember McCarty and myself, and you probably already said this before I walked in the door, but we could not do. We are the shepherds for your good work. We're the vehicles to make it, to get it into policy and to get it on a governor's desk. I don't mean that. I'm going to own the good work I do, but what I'm really meaning is that my role is really just the role to deliver on the incredible stuff that you've done, all of the background, all of the organizing, all of the analysis and understanding of the issue, so that as we tackle putting justice back into that system, that we are doing it with intention, with intentionality, with real critical thinking, and in a way that you who have most been the recipients of the worst parts of it understand, so that we do it right. And I want to honor you and thank you so much, because I could not be that deliverer for you if it weren't for you. And I'm very honored to be the chair of the Public Safety Committee in the Senate and the Budget Committee in the Public Safety Realm. And we have a lot more to do. And we're already getting some kick-ass good ideas. And we know that Prop 57 is great, but the regs haven't gone far enough, right? And we also know, I mean, I've just realized, because I've been carrying a lot of bills to assist folks to get records sealed, naively thinking that record sealing really meant record sealing.
You know.
Right? I mean, yeah. So, you know, what do I come to learn? That it's only really kind of partial or whatever. It just has, there's a lot more implications. So, bring me your wonderful good work, and I will do, not only I, but Assemblymember McCarty and other good folks, obviously Senator Mitchell, Senator Laura, so many others. There's many of us. We're not alone. We will deliver our best for you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. You know, I just really love being on this journey, because on this journey, you know, I get to meet some amazing people. So I invited a few folks out this evening. I just got to give them a shout out right now from my brother Van right here on the left-hand side. My brother Malachi in the back. Let me hand up Malachi. Jay was in here somewhere. I know Troy is somewhere walking around here as well. And I just want you to know that it's great seeing brothers on this side of the fence doing the right thing for our community, working with the youth, working with the adults, working on sentencing and the whole 9 yards. Now, the best part for my night tonight is I'm going to bring up Miss Vanessa Perez, Associate Director of Time for Change Foundation. Come on up here, Vanessa. I want y'all to know, Vanessa is like, she's like my boss, right? Yeah, I'm the founder of Time for Change Foundation, but she's the one that gets it and makes it happen. And everybody thinks, oh, she looks so sweet, she's so cute, but she got a powerful punch, because she's running a hell of an agency, and she knows how to stand her own. So give it up for Vanessa.
And who do you think I learned it from? Hi, everybody. everybody. Like she said, my name is Vanessa Perez. I am Associate Director, Time for Change. I didn't start as Associate Director. I actually started as an intern, and you know what? I'm so excited to be here today. And just looking back, it's been almost 6 years since I've been with Time for Change. And I remember as an intern, we were organizing people in the park, and we were organizing the homeless people, and we were changing the policies of the housing authority so that people with felony convictions could have access to housing. And so I thought, dang man, this is cool. There's people out here in the park, they're homeless, and you would think like, man, they ain't gonna let them do that, but you know what, we made it happen. And so today the law's changed because of that. And so I just wanna say that I am proud to be a part of this movement. I remember when I first got the job, she offered me the job, Civic Engagement Specialist. I'm like, what is that? I didn't go to school for that. And so I'm like, okay, whatever it is, we'll figure it out, right? And so she gave me some videos, and these videos were from like 2005, and I saw Kim Carter in it, I saw Dorsey in these videos, Linda Armstrong, and so I'm like, these names, I know I recognize these names, and so she gave them to me, and she's like, watch these videos. You might not agree with everything in them, but just watch them. And I'm like, I agree with everything in them. What you talking about? So I watched them, and it's the beginning stages of Ban the Box. And so I seen the work, the fight that had been happening from the beginning. And so after I watched it, I was like thinking like, okay, let me watch this again. And I watched it again, and I'm like, what is she talking about? I don't agree with this stuff. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But after watching them, I'm like, no, I do agree with it, because it's not fair to be discriminated against. And just seeing the work that has been put from way back then. I didn't start off in the beginning, but I jumped on later, and I'm here now, and I'm just proud to be a part of it, because to me, I believe in the power of agreement. I believe in the power of unity, and that's what happened, and that's what made this happen right here. The power of the people walking in unity, in agreement, and making something happen, and not giving up and fighting, because that's what it takes to fight. You have to fight no matter what comes against you, and so when we have each other, and we do this together in unity and in agreement, then boom, look what happened, the law's passed. I just want to say hi and thank you. There's people here that, we had some of our leaders here earlier. We had a lot of women working on it from San Bernardino coming up, and so it's just been great working with you guys, and I look forward to continuing this work so that formerly incarcerated people have that fair chance, just like everybody else, not just in the state, but all over the world. So thank you guys.
All right. So, you know, there are people called co-sponsors. So Time for Change Foundation was a co-sponsor. LSPC was a co-sponsor. The National Employment Law Project was a co-sponsor. So I'm going to call up Maurice right now. Come on up here, Maurice. Come on up here, Maurice. Beth, Maurice is hiding. He's sitting out his A game. Come on out here, Beth.
My name's Maurice. My name is Beth Avery. I'm a staff attorney with the National Employment Law Project. I'm here with my amazing colleague, Maurice Absalom. And I think I can speak for us both and say that we are truly humbled by the opportunity to, have worked on this bill. The amazing ideas and the movement, it all started with everyone in this room. And I mean, you just allowed us nerds to come in and put it into legalese and try to get it through the legislature. So I won't talk long because I'm bookended by elected officials and organizers who are amazing speakers, whereas I am ready to sit down and be done with this. But I just want to thank everyone who worked on this bill. I'm not sure if she's here, but I think a special shout out to Mariko Yoshihara from the California Employment Lawyers Association. I just want to call them out. They could have been a co-sponsor. They weren't. For choice of their own, but they worked on this bill she worked on this bill so hard, and I owe her a serious debt. So just want to make sure to thank her, and thank Dorsey and Kim and everyone from our co-sponsors for letting us be a part of this amazing effort. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And next we're going to bring up Marcus McKinney, LSPC, our policy director.
How's everybody doing? All right. Are you doing good or exceedingly well and all those sorts of things, right? This is a victory party, I thought, right? We're supposed to be feeling good. But you know the funny thing about being on the microphone when you're a staffer, I come from South Central Los Angeles. I was lucky to be under the mentorship and tutelage of Karen Bass, who ran the Community Coalition. So of all the organizers that were down in LA, for some reason she chose me to come up there. I don't know what she was thinking, but I thank her for it because it made my career. And so, you know, for me, it's like when I do this work, it's like I come from a place of experience, obviously, life experience. And I remember Karen always talking about the life experience attribute being something that's very important, but often downplayed in this work. So for me, I heard proud tonight, I heard honored, and those are words that really resonate with me because I personally feel proud and honored to have been working for an organization that essentially does what it does to make sure that people who are directly impacted by problems are at the forefront of being able to make change and at the forefront of being able to shape what issues we take on, you know, how the agenda looks, and then actually advocating for their own behalf. So I gotta say, maybe the highlight of my year this year was going from being somebody that's been a product of, you know, leadership development programs, obviously, in the community coalition, to working on our policy fellowship program, working with the likes of Sandra Johnson, Joseph Johnson, walking the hallways with them, and honestly doing the best that we can to try to match the presence that exists in Sacramento with some of the special interests that you two run into so often. And so the thing for me is that I actually just like, when I look around the room, it's kind of like, I feel like it's like a, this is your life or this is your year sort of thing. Because it's like, even Mr. McCarty is somebody that I've had the pleasure of knowing for some time. He actually did something as big as making sure that black folks, when they wanted to come to the Capitol to meet, when Karen Bass was authoring the State of Black California report, they had parking. It was the first time we ever had a town hall in the Capitol with about 300 people. So, you know, Mr. McCarty has been an agent for change for quite some time. I got a pleasure of working with Ms. Skinner on quite a few issues in the Speaker's office, for her Chief of Staff, Marvin Dion, working on juvenile justice issues, making sure CEOs just can't give youth more time when they wanted to, as you know. And so, to me, I've also had the opportunity of being with Bass to work on the first few sets of Ban the Box bills. And so, this to me is the representation and the realization of the culmination of 14 years of work, you know? And so I think you guys should really be proud of that. And proud of the fact that, yeah, give yourself a hand, man. Seriously, you're proud of the fact that people who put millions and millions behind lobbying and, you know, honestly making sure the legislators are really concerned with getting their endorsement and everything else, from the California Bankers Association, the California Cable and Telecommunications Association, the California Chamber of Commerce. We can keep going and shit, but the thing is at the end of the day, we engineered a strategy around making sure that we suppressed them and the influence they had in building by being reasonable, by making sure that we were on the same page, making sure that we were anchored in our values. And so, again, I just want to make sure that I give everybody props who played a role in that. We had everybody from Common to John Legend and so on and so forth advocating on behalf of the bill to call the governor. And I just want to remind people that we know the work honestly isn't done, right? We know a great deal of work remains if we want to try to make sure that we need to make the strides necessary to try to end structural discrimination. You know, as my boss Dorsey always says, and that's an important thing to keep in mind. So I just want to kind of challenge folks to think about that as we go into next year and say thank you.
In closing, I want to bring up somebody that's just not the executive director of all of us in NUNN LSPC. Somebody I respect highly, somebody I look to as a mentor. I want to bring up once again Dorsey NUNN.
Hey, you know, I got all of y'all in the room at one time, right? And I feel like if I got all y'all in the room at one time, I'm supposed to ask for something. You know, cause like, you know, we took our extra money and we dropped it on the food. You know, we threw our extra money down and, you know, we bought some hors d'oeuvres. You know, so how many of y'all really believe? Raise your hand if you really believe. All y'all really, really believe. Raise them high. Wave them in the air. Y'all really believe? And dig up in that pot. Because we need help. Because at a certain point, I wish I could tell you that freedom was free. It very rarely is. You know, so like I believe enough that before anybody else put it in the pot, I'm gonna put the first $100 in. Can anybody join me?
I join.
Can anybody else join me? All right, hang on just a minute. I want my hat back. So like, I'm gonna put at least $100 up in there. And I brought some of my big homies out of East Palo Alto. Did we get our box yet where we can take the credit cards? Yeah. All right, this credit card thing too. But before we leave, the other things that I wanted, if you don't put in a dime, this is what I want y'all to really hear me say. At a certain point, we're gonna want our right to vote. Right? So anybody from Alameda, if y'all went across the sheriff, tell them to let our people in so we can register our people to vote. If it's anybody here from San Mateo County and you see the sheriff, tell them to let our people in so we can register to vote.
That's right.
If it's anybody in here that can hear my voice, tell the people who deny us access to sitting on the jury, we want a right to sit on the jury too.
That's right. Yeah.
Because at a certain point, we want the full restoration of our civil and our human rights. And that's what our struggle is about.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, we can't let them tell us, Rodney, I remember being in a room with you one time, Rodney. And I can remember being in a room with Ron Owens in that room that day. And what Ron said was that after 7 or 8 years, we should get our rights back. I need to tell y'all in the clearest way that I can tell you without cursing.
You're doing good, too. You're doing so good. You're doing so good.
Thank you. That I adopt a philosophy of the presumption of rehabilitation upon the completion of my sentence. And I don't owe anybody anything after I serve my time. I have the right to defend my family. If you're spending my tax dollars, I have the right to stay in public housing. If you're spending my tax dollars, I have the same rights as anybody else in the United States have. And if I can't vote, I question whether or not I'm a legitimate citizen or not. So if I can't vote in Florida, what am I? Just a citizen of East Palo Alto? Maybe you feel me now. Because at a certain point, what happened when we really find our voice? Because along the way, people told us to wait. And I think it might have been King that says, wait, Jillian, never.
That's right.
So we can't wait for our rights. We got to push at every point. Right? So when I ask y'all, well, who's going to do the registration in the county jail? If y'all feel like it's about me, how do y'all like Trump? Some of us really did appreciate those Obama phones. How did y'all like Trump? That unleash, I mean, he was the grouper. And by the way, the other thing that I'm fighting, so you can be really clear about it, I'm fighting white supremacy. Because I actually do think that the way that we exercise that stuff may not be in the same way we used to exercise it. It could be through the criminal justice system that rounds us up in a real particular manner. So at any point that we come into contact with that system, we lose. Now for all my homies that's from Oakland, I need to tell you that my first house in Oakland was 1225 Fallon Street. I became a resident after doing a year in the county jail. And I love Oakland. And I need to tell you that I'm into it to fight gentrification too.
Come on.
I need to state flat out that legal services for prisoners with children is in contract to buy an office building. And most people will think that we just need an office. What we need is strategies where we acquire property so we won't continue to be ran about the cities.
Come on.
So at a certain point, what we're going to invest in is purchasing a piece of property. So probably before the end of the year, I will know one way or another is if my money can still spend in Oakland. Or should I say our money still spend in Oakland?
All our money.
All our money just spent in Oakland. And the other thing I say before I give up this mic is that y'all don't know how rich y'all are.
Yeah.
It's not, y'all not lacking resources. What we lacking is the ability to trust each other. We are running short on that, and we're not running short on cash. So just like I said, I had the first $100. And suddenly everybody felt like they didn't have $100, and I know you're going to spend that much in Starbucks coffee this week. If not Starbucks, you're not going to spend it pursuing justice. You would spend it on. Thank you. Because that's who the fight's about. Thank you. And when we get to have these gatherings, we need to start bringing our children. Because I already know that I'm not going to make it to the mountaintop. But we need to teach the next generation how at least point them in the right direction of where they should be going. So if you got a baby, your baby should probably be in the struggle too. Because I thought like when I had black hair, there was it's there. By the way, I do want to honor one person that I love very much. You know, we was in North Carolina, South Carolina. We've been all through, all over the place, and we was fighting. And when we started the campaign, she was the strongest soldier. So I'd like to bring Linda Evans up. All right. Cold at night.
A blanket.
With the fist, all of us are none.
Turn it around, they can't see it.
So, you started with me. This mic is yours to close this show.
Well, I'm going to be brief. But I will say thank you to everybody that is here. Because I know that you all supported this work in whatever way, whether it was sponsoring legislation, whether it was changing the language on application forms, whether it was coming to testify, mobilizing for one of our rallies. We did this. That's right. We did this together. And I just want everybody to really take that in. You know, own this victory. Because it's a big victory. Not just California. Think about it. We've done this in 29 states. Way over 150 different cities and counties in a lot of states where they won't do it. So we're getting protections for people in states that will not ban the box, but we have local, formerly incarcerated, dedicated organizers who fought in those cities and counties to make it real. And they're showing that this policy works, you know, no matter. And I really want to call out to NELP. They have defended ban the box. on an ideological level with those people that are writing those racist reports. They have confronted that and made arguments that everybody has to listen to, that are not just evidence-based, but have a deep sense of humanity and morality.
Yes.
So I really appreciate NELP for all the work that you have done to help us. So many organizations and individuals supported in various ways. And I personally want to just say thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Hey, you know, every now and then people sacrifice stuff, right? Sometimes I don't. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge this. Could I get my grandkids up here? Because in all of this fight, in all of the struggle, probably the greatest sacrifice have been theirs because I didn't spend the time that I should be spending at home. For some of us that do this work that are revolutionaries, that do it on a daily basis, when you see Sandra and Joseph as Elder Freeman Policy Fellows, that fellowship was named after a Black Panther member that marched with us, that died. So we beginning to name our programs and our fellowships after that stuff. But I just want y'all to introduce y'all to my grandkids, because like this fight is about the fairness of the entire country in the future. And it's not just about me. So when you see them running around and I'm no longer here, give them the love that you gave me. That's right.
All right, on that note, pass that hat around. We ain't serious about that.
Yeah, let me go and get that 100 on out.
I want to give one more shout out before we got to close this out. Before we close this out, one thing that we know for sure and two things for certain, they always told us we had the right to remain silent. We had the right to remain silent, but today we know we have the right to speak up. We have the right to use our voice. We have the right to vote. We have the right to make change. We have the right to put folks in office and take folks out. We have the right to build our own buildings. Damn, we're on the housing authority. We got 4-year wait list. Build your own, right? We have the right to buy property. They don't ask you when you're ready to buy property and you have to be convicted of a felony because they don't care. Because your money don't mean nothing for the time to be spent. They don't have no discrimination. So on that, congratulations on your new building. You know, hey, hold up. It's in the process. It's in the process. And I just want to say at Top 10 Foundation, we not only buy buildings, we've also developed our own affordable housing. We know that we're going to fight against this oppression and this system that we can't afford to be hoping the landlord going to let us stay. We can't afford somebody to come and try to price us out. So the name of the game is to sustain yourself by having your own. And it can be done looking at a certified nonprofit affordable housing developer right here. Right here. 5 years, crime-free housing. Certified for prevention through environmental design. All that other good stuff. And guess what? When you develop the housing, you get to create jobs with that. You get to, get the applications for people to move in. It says you have to run the background check. It never says you have to read it. So you get to run it and put it in a file and let your folks come on in and get housing. So see, there's more than one way to do what we got to do. So on that, I want to bring my co-MC up right now. My co-MC up. I want to give him a shout out right now. Running a good thing. Get that check. Get that check. We're going to shut this down. All of us. All of us. I see you, George. I see you, George. Come on, George. George is one of our comrades from all the way back in the day. He's on the front line of Father. Here you go. So take us on.
Damn, well, I wasn't expecting to say anything, but let me just say how humbled, how honored I am to just be a part of this movement family, to have been mentored by some of these historical figures I'm thinking of Ronald Elder Freeman. I'm thinking of Arthur League. I'm thinking of Brother Dorsey Nunn. I'm thinking of Linda Evans. Like, this is walking history and herstory. So, like, I'm thinking of, as a young person coming out of my own incarceration and thinking about how I had to almost feel ashamed of my past and my background and how empowering it was to have comrades, older people in the movement and the struggle who were unapologetic, unbroken, and uncompromising. How instrumental that was in my empowerment. So I want us to keep pushing. Like, we already, people create these wedge issues all the time. This classic divide and conquer shit. Black, brown, men, women, young people, old people. This shit is all of us or none. Straight up. Straight up. You know? And we're getting ready to actually, we start getting ready to launch a whole new campaign. Called Close Youth Prisons. That's right. Build Youth Leaders. Word. And what we know, so there's 3 demands we're going for, right? The first is end adult transfer hearings. The second is justice reinvestment. We want a dollar for dollar match. We know that these beds are already shrinking. That's right. And they just put it back in the general fund. And there's all these other opportunities, marijuana tax. Who were the casualties of that drug war while these white men are lining up to get rich off this bullshit? You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a whole bunch of marijuana tax money, and they want to give that to the police. Fuck that. We want our reparations. We want our reparations. So this is a dollar for dollar match. Every time we see a dollar saved, it ain't going back into the general pot. It's not going into the so-called public safety budget that just new age slave catchers out there trying to snatch us up. It's going back into empowering and, you know, for our folks in ways that serve us. That's authentic justice reinvestment. So how do we build community capacity for alternatives to incarceration? Empower people. It ain't fucking rocket science. And the last thing we're doing, close youth prisons. But you know what? For real, if we know it works for young people, we know it works for everybody. So we're going for everybody. Y'all, this is about each and every one of us getting free. And some of us been called dreamers or crazy or some bullshit because we had an idea of what it might look like to have a world free of prisons. Woo! A world free of prisons. Let me say that again. Well, let me tell you something. I am rooted to this land by my indigenous grandmothers. My people never knew the concept of what a prison was. That is a settler, Eurocentric, colonizer concept. So how we heal is returning, reclaiming, and relearning those traditional ways. Ways that kept this land and the people of this land healthy since time immemorial. That's right. That's what we're going back to, y'all. That's what we're going back to. So I want to invite y'all, join us November 30th. We're having a town hall called Dream Beyond Bars. It's being led directly by our formerly incarcerated young people. We call them the Dream Beyond Bars Fellows. That's right. And I would be remiss to say everything that we're doing right now with these young people, every campaign victory has co-authors of Prop 57. Come on. Yeah. None of this would have been possible if it weren't for all of us or none. Yes. If it weren't for the mentorship of these elders of Sister Hamdia, Brother Dorsey, Elder Freeman, Linda Evans, Aaliyah, everybody, man. Thank you so much. I'm so humbled, honored to be a part of the movement. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share some few words. I love y'all. Let's get free.
Oh, okay, I have a short announcement. There's plenty of food, and we do have a square. So in case you guys want to donate, we do have a square here. Darius has it. So just raise your hand, and yeah. All of us? All of us! All of us! All of us!
Let's